In this tutorial, we continue our exploration of different types of angles using the Desmos geometry tools. In this case, we will be looking at adjacent angles. In this illustration, you see that adjacent angles share a side, in this case a ray. Do you see the two angles? There is actually a third angle, as you can see in this illustration. The measure of the larger angle is the sum of the measures of the adjacent angles. Now let's look at specific examples of adjacent angles. In this illustration, a right angle is made up of two adjacent angles. Adjacent angles that make up a right angle are called complementary angles. Here's another case. Adjacent angles that make up a straight angle are called supplementary angles. Recall that when two lines intersect, four angles are formed. Do you see the four different angles marked in this pair of intersecting lines? There are also four pairs of supplementary angles formed. This illustration highlights the different pairs of supplementary angles. In each case, the sum of the highlighted adjacent angles equals 180 degrees. Here is an additional feature of intersecting lines. When two lines intersect, two sets of vertical angles are formed. See the two sets of vertical angles? Vertical angles are congruent to each other. Let's explore these angle properties using the Desmos geometry tools. From the Geometry window, click on the Ray tool. Create the adjacent angles as shown here. Use the Angle tool to measure the large angle ABD. Click the Selection tool and move point A until angle ABD is a right angle. Now hide the angle measure. Click on the 90-degree measure and click the Hide button on the left. The reason for hiding the measure is because you will now be measuring the adjacent angles. Click the Angle tool and measure angles ABC and CBD. Add the two angle measures. Do they equal 90 degrees? Click the Selection tool and move point C to change the measures of the adjacent angles. As you move point C, notice that the angle measures change, but in each case the complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. Now let's explore supplementary angles. Start a new construction. You may want to save the document you were working on. Select the Line tool and create a horizontal line. Think of a line as a straight angle. It sweeps out a 180-degree angle. Now select the Ray tool. Place the endpoint on the line and have the ray extend upward from there. Label the points as shown here. The straight angle is ABD. The supplementary angles are ABC and CBD. Measure those angles. Use the Angle tool. You'll see that the two angles add up to 180 degrees. Use the Selection tool to move point C to generate other supplementary angles. In all cases, the angles should add up to 180 degrees. Finally, let's explore vertical angles. Create a new construction. Construct two overlapping lines like the one shown here. Use the Point tool to add an intersection point. Label the points as shown. Measure all four angles using the Angle tool. See the two pairs of vertical angles? See the four pairs of supplementary angles. Use the Selection tool to rotate one of the lines. What happens to the vertical and supplementary angles?